to the Sidequest. Welcome back to Sidequest number 2. So these little snippets are so we can tell you about stories from the field that have nothing to do with the education that we do on Fridays. Some crazy experiences we've had, help you, or have me help you get to know these two ladies a little bit more, and probably me in the meantime also. And just be able to talk about why educating women on how to take care of their own homes is so important to us. And Emily, I wanted to ask you, what is one step, besides our podcast, of course, that a woman could take to dip her toe into home repair?
I think, honestly, just picking one small thing that bugs you. So, like, once you figure it out, you feel that relief in your home and fixing it. So, like, if it's like this wobbly doorknob or your bathroom door doesn't lock or something like that, or this picture isn't hung quite right, or I want to hang this picture or something.
That's smart. Just
I
pick
think
the
one thing that kind of, like, nags at you, and then accomplish that, and then it's like, ooh, like you get like a fun feeling from it.
That's true. Yeah. I know the one I did most recently in my house, and this is true, like the old saying is like the cobbler's kids never have shoes. Well, the construction worker's house is never done. So I went, I don't know, a year where the caulk was cracking in our bathtub and it just needed to be fixed. And that was one small thing that I was not necessarily excited about doing, but then when I was done, I was like, oh yeah, the caulk is done, the caulk is done.
It's like been on your brain forever.
Forever. And then just be able to cross it off. So yeah, just pick the thing that's like right in front of you. That thing. Whatever that thing is, you know you're going to look to the left right now and you're going to see that thing that's bugging you.
Or to the right.
Unless you're driving, please keep your eyes on the road.
Yes. Yeah. Arly, why do you think it's important for women to learn basic home repair skills?
I think it's, first of all, I think it's, like, important for anybody to learn basic home skills. The reason I think it's more important maybe for us to teach women is because it's almost like an inherited, like, male skill currently. You know, dads are like, I'll give you this toolbox when you turn 16, son, or something. Like, you know, this is obviously stereotypical or whatever, but, my dad taught me how to use tools, like, since I was really young, and since I have lived on my own, I can pretty much fix anything for the most part, that doesn't need a permit, but anyway, and it's important to be able to fix things, and also, like, a lot of people can get, like, hired to fix your doorknob, or, like, help you get that little thing of that little nail into your baseboard and stuff. But you'd have to spend money to do that. And a lot of us are perfectly capable of doing that on our own. And I think that women should have the ability to choose whether they want to give that responsibility to somebody else because they don't want to, or do it themselves because they can.
And it's very much about choices. Like, you can choose to clean your own home, or if you can afford it, you can have someone else clean it. But
well, that's a great example, because if you pay a plumber to come and change, like your toilet is leaking and you come have them fix that, they're going to change your wax ring and that will cost you a few $100s. Well, you could change your own wax ring for $5 and then spend that money on having somebody clean your whole house for you.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's not about not having the resources, but about, like, preferring to put those resources somewhere else.
Or maybe you know you're not going to be good at trim carpentry, so you do your toilet repair and save up to have a master carpenter come in and do what you want.
Choices, where to spend your money and how to spend your time.
And if you know, say you decided you know what is wrong with your toilet and you want to hire a plumber, and you say, I want to hire this out, and your plumber says, oh, I got to replace this whole thing, you got to get a new toilet, you'll be able to say, no, I understand what the problem is, and I do not need a new toilet.
Yeah.
You know, you're not always going to be right sometimes, but you have enough knowledge to be able to say what you really want.
Yeah, something feels right or feels wrong.
Yes, and so you can feel confident that you can have a contractor come into your home and you won't be taken advantage of.
Well, you've been at this professionally now for 2.5 years, Arly. What is the project, the specific project that you think, maybe it's not the one, but one of the most satisfying projects that you've completed over the last 2.5 years?
I gotta say, like, fun trim carpentry. That's really fun. It's just, when I can kind of get a little crafty and like maybe there's a couple of spots that are a little bit tricky to get around, or we have to get creative because there's existing trim or there's some kind of wonkified area in somebody's house that needs to be fixed or something. I think that's the best. That's my favorite. Probably.
You can make such an immediate difference with
yes
that.
Especially because like you can do like the functional area of trim, which is still satisfying because you can get like nice clean miter cuts and stuff, but you can also do like decorative trim, like something that really transforms the mood of a space, and all of that is really fun, and I get to be a little bit creative, and also it's satisfying at the end when you're done. You've made all your measurements and you've nailed everything into the wall, you've done your caulk, you've done your wood fill, and then you drag a paintbrush over it. And then all of like the little imperfections that have been sanded down but are still like visually, you can still see them because it hasn't been painted yet, just disappear. It's so satisfying. And
as we built this business over the last few years, Emily, what is something that you're very proud of?
The completion of my first design project, which was this year. Whenever you hear this, it was in 2025. I designed a half bath, and it was like stepping out on a limb, but it was honestly amazing. Like I really want to do more design projects, and so seeing one from start to finish, and like the little things I noticed, like the toilet lever, I had matched all the accessories. And the client was like, I would have never thought of that. So like the little
everybody
touches.
listening here wouldn't have thought of that you can change the color of your toilet lever.
Yeah, and it makes it look like when you think about those little details, that's when it starts feeling like designer level and stuff. And so just seeing that project through, and also like the crew cared so much to make sure that project went well, and I felt really loved because like I would check in and they'd be like
this is my first design project. How's it going? If you just executed it poorly, you'd be
yeah, so that was really
and
I was very happy the client took a chance on me.
I'm always amazed at your talent for seeing things that don't exist.
Yeah.
Like actual like visual things. Like I can see like a business that doesn't exist yet. I can imagine what that looks like. But when it comes to like physical things, like in a house, I just can't. And I know Arly can do that, but Emily, you're particularly good at that, which is great because some people are just like, I don't know what I want, but I will know if I like it if I see it. And you're able to show that to them.
I have like some ideas of like not design really, but like when we talk about picking a color for a room or something, like I know how I want a room to feel, and like cozy or kind of like sterile, you know, or whatever it might be. And sometimes I'm like, I really like these things and I want it to be this and this and this, and I can't really do that thing where you magicify it. But I'm
You're
also
a wizard, Harry.
Yes, I'm also a little bit more like reserved when it comes to like design choices and stuff like that, because I always thought like I wanted things to be kind of neutral and then I could add in my own personality. But I have been learning from you that like I do like things that are a little bit more out there than I originally thought, and I see some of the things that you do and I'm like, oh, I really like that. Never would have thought about it, or never would have like noticed that with like that specific shape of the mirror or something. It'd be like, oh, this is really making it, you know.
I think the trademark of an artist of any kind, whether it's a painter, you know, someone who sketches, a singer, or like Emily with her design work, in addition to many other things, is they can create something that captures the way you feel. Have you ever listened to a song that is just like the exact right song for that moment in your life? Well, artists do that on canvas in many ways, and Emily really is able to like, you're like, where am I in my life right now? Emily's able to capture that. So it's fun that on the main podcast we share. I mean, our sort of one of our unofficial taglines for the main business is "We make it beautiful, we make it work," and Emily really captures that part, that we make it beautiful part. And so for those of you that are listening, you can ask us about useful things that are functional, but you can also ask us about things that you want to be beautiful. And if you come to the How to Handyma'am group on Facebook, you can upload pictures. Which color is better? This color or this color? And Emily will answer those questions for you. Well, thanks for joining us for this side quest, and we'll see you again this Friday for our next episode.
Yay.
Bye.